Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we're gonna talk all about friendships and especially friendships that ended. I hope that talking about my friendships breakup and how I was able to go through them will help you too. I'll walk you through the different types of friendship heartbreaks that I've been through, how they all affected me, but also some practical tips on what I've done to actually be able to move away from the pain and move through with my life. I think it's very important to go through this process and allow yourself to process the emotions that you're feeling in order for you to be able to move on with your life and get new friends and be open to new friendships. So this video is dedicated to all of my friends that somehow I lost touch or contact with that might potentially be watching this. I want to thank you all for being a part of my life, for all the memories, for being by my side when you were, and for making me understand my lessons. I love you all. I've been through a fair few friendships that have ended in some way, shape or form throughout my life until now. My first instinct was to say, unfortunately, I've been through this. But to be honest, it's not really unfortunately. And while it was a very hurtful and it had a big impact at the time that it happened, it also made me the person that I am today. So as much as I would have loved to be able to prevent that, which I don't think I could have anyways, I don't think it would have ended up working out in the end anyways, because some things are just meant to be. And some people are only meant to be in your life for a certain period of time, so that you can both learn something, you can both learn your lessons, you can teach each other something that needed to be taught during that phase of your life, and then move on and open up to new opportunities, to new friends, to new experiences. Honestly, it took me a good few years to be able to openly discuss about those things without crying, without having very big emotions. And I'm really happy to be able to stand today in front of you guys and be able to share my experiences with you, because how I was able to move through this pain is through a lot of inner work. It took me a lot longer to be able to understand what I was feeling and allow myself to process these emotions. I'm a problem solver, so every time I was going through something like this, I wanted to fix it. I wanted to see how I can get back to being their friend and how we can fix our relationships and stay with the person that we were used to be friends with for such a long period of time. But I allowed myself to take a step back, be hurt, because it's true, losing a friend is very, very impactful. Process it and see what that friend taught you, what you've learned from the whole experience, from the relationship, and what part of that friendship made you who you are today. Because if you haven't lost a friend, first of all, that's very good for you. Secondly, I would ask myself, is it because I stopped this from happening? And that is great if you did and if you're happy with the outcome. Or is it because I stopped this from happening, but I'm actually not happy with my current friendships? And maybe it was meant to happen and I stopped it from happening, and now I'm going through the same hurtful feelings without even having the friendship breakup in the first place. So there's a multitude of things that we can discuss, but I'll discuss my personal experience with those 4 big friendship heartbreaks that I've experienced in my life. Let me start by explaining why I wanted to address friendships and not romantic relationships and romantic heartbreaks. First of all, I've been in a relationship for the past 12 years of my life, so I don't have that kind of experience to be able to talk about the romantic heartbreaks as much as I do with friendship heartbreaks. So that's the first thing. Then secondly, I think that as a woman, it's very important to have women around you. And sometimes when we mention heartbreak, we immediately go to thinking about a romantic relationship. However, heartbreaks don't equal romantic love. You can be as heartbroken or even more heartbroken after losing a friend as after losing a boyfriend or a girlfriend. And I have been through both. And let me tell you, while the romantic heartbreaks were very painful at the time for a short period of time, but yes, very intense, I have hurt a lot more after friendship breakups and friendship heartbreaks, because they were the kind of heartbreaks that made me really think about what I could have done different. And they were the people that I actually grieved for their loss, because they were people that impacted me maybe for a longer period of time, or maybe through a certain phase of my life that I couldn't have gone through without them. So they've left a much deeper mark in my life, which is why it took me a lot longer to get better after a friendship heartbreak. I'll start by talking about the first one. So the first time I experienced this type of friendship heartbreak was when I was around 18. To this day, I think about this specific relationship that I had with this friend, and I still think that I was the most authentic, the most open, the most me version of myself that I couldn't really expose after that heartbreak to anyone else, no matter how good of a friend they were. I don't think any person has seen me as vulnerable and as raw as that person did. And we fell out because of a very silly reason. We started getting older, diversifying our interests, changing our friends group, and eventually the shift in our efforts, our attitude towards each other, it just happened. While at the time I was trying to put on a brave face and be really strong and say that it doesn't really affect me that much and I have other friends and it's fine, I realize now that I did that because I was so disappointed in myself for letting go of that friend and for allowing that relationship to end. And so I buried all of my feelings associated with it so I don't have to hurt. Looking back now, what this taught me is that I should stand up for my friends. I should be there for them no matter what. And we don't have to have the same exact group of friends, the same exact hobbies, the same exact preferences, the same exact opinions. We don't have to be the same exact person. We can be different people and complement each other. But I think we both understood some very important lessons during that time that allowed us to grow and shape. And yes, I was 18, so it was in that prime development area where I was trying to discover who I am and who I want to be surrounded by. And it was just a very changing period in my life. When you're at that age, right before uni, while you're still in high school, you're so used to having your friends be your everything friends. They have the same exact interests as you because you're from the same area, you go to the same school, you take the same classes, so you are very, very similar. Once you start getting older and things are diversifying, preferences are not the same, it can feel like a betrayal from your friends for doing things without you, for doing other things rather than the ones that you were used to do together. So I get why I felt hurt before this friendship ended and why I kind of let it end, because I felt like I was betrayed. But in the end, I wasn't. I was just having a friend that had a healthy outlook on their relationships with other people and weren't dependent on me like I was on them. I know now as an adult that I don't have to be the same as my friend next to me. We can have different opinions. In fact, it's healthy to have healthy debates on stuff that you don't agree on. And this is something that I would never have imagined possible when I was back then at 18. And that was my first friendship heartbreak, and these were the things that it taught me. I'll move on to my second friendship heartbreak now. This one happened as an adult, and it happened with a lifelong friend that I had since I was around 7. We were friends for about 15 years, I think, before we fell out. And this friendship was different. It was more mature, more private, more grown up and evolved. We knew how to give each other the space we needed to have other interests, other friends, but we also knew that when we would hang out together and come back and go out and just spend time with each other, it would be the same exact feeling as it's always been every time we saw each other in all those 15 years. We always discussed all the aspects of our life very openly, and it helped that we were there for each other, seeing each other through each period, to primary school, secondary school, high school, uni, getting your first boyfriend, getting your first job, like everything we experienced together, supporting each other in one way or another. And I think that was what I cherished the most about this particular relationship. I want to make a little side note here and talk about the fact that I don't think the amount of time you've been friends with someone necessarily dictates how heartbroken you will feel after that relationship ends. But I do agree that it's very sad to lose someone that you've consistently had in your life for such a long period of time, because you'll never have that opportunity again. If you've had a friend since primary school, no matter how good of a friend you're gonna be making in the next 5-10 years, they would have never been there since primary school. So we try to hold on to these relationships because we know that they're so unique that they will never happen again. It's impossible for them to happen again. Yeah, you can have a friend now and be friends until 60, but they still wouldn't have experienced all those early childhood phases with you that your lifelong friend had. You went through some things during those times that you felt like maybe no one understood you, or maybe the only person that understood you was this one friend. So leaving them and letting them go feels like you're letting go of that part of your life, which it's very hurtful, but it might also be a good thing. As much as I get why you would hold on to these relationships, I think at one point you have to realize that just because a relationship was a good relationship for a long period of time, if it is not in the present, you shouldn't hold on to it. If we would be looking at it from a romantic relationship point of view, you would never tell someone, oh, you need to stay in that relationship because you've been together for 15 years. No, you need to be in that relationship if you're happy. If that relationship doesn't bring you joy anymore, you should try to get out of it. And why do we not put the same importance to friendships, to non-romantic friendships as well? Because if a friendship has lasted for a very long time, but somehow things changed, you either stopped putting in effort, the other person stopped putting in effort, some things happened, why should you stay in that relationship just because it was a very long relationship? It's not fair to stay in any relationship just for the memories. This relationship is the one that I allowed myself to let go of, and it was a hard process, but this is what this relationship taught me, that I need to step out of areas that provide discomfort and where I'm not happy anymore, or when someone doesn't put in the same amount of effort that I do. And I've been that friend that put more effort in. I've also been the friend that put less effort than the other person. So I've been in both ways, and it's not fair for the other person. That's why I think you need to let this kind of relationship end and allow yourself to process the feelings that comes with that. It took me years to be okay with this loss in particular. And I still have very many weeks where I still think about this friend and I wonder how they are and what they're up to, and if they're still watching the same series that we used to only watch together, and like some silly things like that. But I think about them constantly. They're still a big part of my life without them even being part of my life. And sometimes I end up reminiscing memories or thinking about ways or stuff that I could have done different to change and to prevent this relationship from ending. But it wasn't all in my control. And this is another very important lesson that we need to learn when it comes to any relationships. We can't control the people around us, and we shouldn't want to control the people around us because they are their own person. I think the hardest bit that I had to learn from this friendship, and something that hurt me a lot and something that I'm still struggling to 100% fix, is the fact that I did not know. Not knowing for me, because I am a problem fixer, it's such a hard feeling to accept. I always look for the root cause of a problem and try to get in there, try to understand it, try to fix it, try to see if maybe things could have been done different before it eroded into something bigger. Because genuinely, I can't tell you the reason why this friendship ended for me, because I don't know the other person's side. We just lost all communication. And I won't go into the specific because I want to protect the privacy of this person that I'm talking about, but not knowing why this friendship ended was probably more hurtful for me than the actual ending, because it made me question myself. It made me wonder, what have I done so wrong that I can't even get an answer for it? And to this day, I still don't know 100%. Of course, I have my thoughts, but it would have been nice to have an open conversation about it so I can process the feelings better knowing what the other person felt as well. I personally have to let go of trying to understand everything that goes around us and trying to fix the stuff that I see as a problem, and just give in more to the fact that some things just happen without us being able to control them, and we need to allow them to happen. It's very important to allow them to happen and not stop them, not force yourself to stop the emotions from happening. Every person in any friendship has the right to decide what is good for them. You shouldn't intervene, and you shouldn't try to fix and find a solution for a problem that they might not even see as a problem. You're the only person that sees that as a problem. You can only be as involved in someone's life as they want you to be. And overstepping and trying to fix their problem, what you see as their problem, without anyone asking you to in the first place, is not gonna be beneficial for them, because they need to get to their own conclusions and they need to make their own decisions and own up to them and experience the consequences and experience the feelings. And if you love them as a friend, you need to let it happen, as much as it's gonna hurt you as well. This leads me to my third breakup, which is a lot different than the other two that I've discussed. It was surrounding friends that I've known for a lot less time, but it was also in a period of my time when I felt really lonely, and it hit me in a different way. This is more of my perception of that breakup and not the breakup itself. It's about a group of people, not an individual person. And it's about my uni friends. I had a group of girlfriends in uni that we went through university together, the whole experience, with all the stress, all the emotion, all the laughter, until COVID hit. We were talking about how we want to shape our life, because for the first time in existence, we were able to shape our own lives. We all moved to London and we were all going through this collective process together of figuring out who we want to be and how we want our lives to be. We also had the same issues that we all experienced. Not having our home, friends and family around us, having to work a lot throughout uni to support ourselves. It was a very shared collective that we were all experiencing together, and I still to this day believe that it was taken away from us because of COVID. Nothing bad really happened between us, and we're still in touch, but not at the level that we were when we were in uni, and that I think we would have been if we would have had the time, space and freedom to continue this relationship. And this is a friendship group that taught me that some friends are in your life for a certain period of your time so that you can experience something together, or that you can learn your lessons, or that you can learn stuff from each other, and then that's it. You have to move on. I was very sad when I saw this group of friends just having fun and moving on with their lives, because I was jealous. And I think this is another lesson that I learned, is that you shouldn't be jealous if your friends are happy, because you should be happy for them. You should allow them to experience this happiness. You shouldn't stop them. And I didn't try to stop it, but I just felt really jealous of it, because at that point in my life, I had no other friends beside them anymore. And while I think the most hurtful thing for me was the fact that I wanted them to make more of an effort to keep the relationship open, because I was making more of an effort. But again, you can't control things. You can't control how people react. You can't control how people perceive you. And you should just, again, allow the emotions to happen, but also understand and make peace with the fact that something has ended, something is there, and you have to move on to get here to where you're supposed to be. It's very scary to not know literally anyone that you're close to in your surrounding, geographical area. It's very lonely. Do I think that maybe if the pandemic didn't happen, things would have been different? Maybe. But thinking about the past is not gonna help me in the present, and it's not gonna help me in the future either. What this friendship taught me is that you shouldn't rely on a specific friend for all your needs, and that is perfectly healthy. Which leads me to the fourth and most recent breakup that I experienced. Again, a very unique breakup, a very different one, and one that taught me very different lessons. One of them being the fact that I want to be very mindful, very demure, I had to say it, about the people that are in my life and who I allow myself to be surrounded by. It's a bit similar to the second one that I mentioned, just because, again, I don't know the reason why it ended. I don't know both parts of the story. I only know mine because I didn't have an ending where we discussed openly about what happened. So again, that's fine, but it just took me a lot longer to make peace with it. This was a couple of friends that I really looked up to, I really appreciated, I really took as an example, and I wanted by my side forever because I just thought it was gonna be so healthy and it was gonna help me grow and them grow, and we could grow together and be part of this great thing called life. We had different views and different opinions, and this was the first time in my life that I allowed myself to experience this and not have the same interest as the other person. And I thought it was so healthy to have debates and make each other understand the other person's point of view. And I don't think, but can particularly know, if our differences is what ended the friendship. I think it was certainly a multitude of different things in between. There was a lot of drama in between them, and I was sort of pulled into that drama without my consent, without me wanting to be involved. And that, I think, is what created that first initial tear. And I think that tear could have probably been fixed with a lot more open communication. Because sometimes being too involved in someone else's life, being too into the detail, too into the drama, it can alter your perception of that person. It could be negative or positive, but it can change your attitude about them without you wanting to change your attitude about them. It can be something that happens subconsciously. You can't stop having an opinion. You will pick sides, especially if there's more than one person. That doesn't mean that the friendships need to change. I think, again, with the right level of communication, I think it can be fixed if both parties really want it to be fixed. But I think sometimes it is less painful to just rip the band-aid and end a relationship that you maybe wanted to keep than going through the process of fixing it, even if it is fixable. Because sometimes it is just too much hurt, too much sadness to address the issues in this friendship. You need to allow people to process what they're going through in their own time, and if they want you there, fine. But if they don't want you involved, you need to take a step back. You have to accept that, again, for the sake of your friends. Yes, it's sad, and yes, it hurts, and it hurts a lot when you don't know why it stopped. Especially when people move away from your life that you thought they were gonna be there for you in the big events of your life, when you always knew that friend was gonna be there and then they're not. It does play up with your perception of yourself, because you're thinking, what am I gonna do now without the advice and the support and the presence of this particular person in my life? And yes, it hurts, but you need to let them make decisions for themselves. It doesn't matter if you believe they're making the right decisions or the bad decisions. And if that decision is they don't want you part of your life anymore, own up to it and let them have the availability of making that decision. Fast forward to today, I'm me at this point in my life, at 25, because I've been through every single one of these heartbreaks. And I believe that's the biggest role that they have in our life, is teaching us lessons and shaping us to who we are in the present moment. So that's my stories. I hope that by sharing them with you have given you some comfort, knowing that you're not alone and knowing that friendship heartbreak is just as valid as any other type of heartbreak. And it's okay to take time to heal. It's not easy letting go of people that played such an important part of your life, but sometimes it is necessary for your own growth and your own well-being. If you're going through something similar, know that you're not alone. It's okay to grieve, to take your time, to reflect, and to eventually move forward. Keep the good memories close to your heart. Look at the hard things and experiences that you've been through together. Learn from them, and don't be afraid to open up to new ones, to make new friends, to use all those lessons and apply them in your future friendships so that you can have healthier, more deeper relationships. Life is constantly evolving, and so are we. Thank you so much for watching this video and for being on this journey with me. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you'd like to see more content from me. I'd love to hear your thoughts and your journeys in the comments down below. How have you dealt with friendship heartbreak? What did you learn from it? Until next time, take care of yourself and remember that every ending is just another opportunity to start again. I'll see you in the next video. Bye!